Do you often feel that your company's data is boring to look at, so you rarely explore it looking for valuable insights? I'll show you a modern business dashboard that lets you engage with your business's data. Here we have the raw data for a fictional company. This is the sample data for the sales, different categories they have, and these cities and managers and things like that. This is yet overwhelming and be boring, and there's not much insights we can get from this. So most companies will turn this into what's called pivot tables. So we'll briefly look at one of the pivot tables I created for this data set. So this is grouping all the categories together for this fashion company. We have the two different brands that they have and their totals together, comparing the different categories to each other, and or comparing the different brands as well. That might be what they're looking at. But is it still a bit boring, and it's still hard to look and gain easy insights and figure out what exactly is going on. Ratios like between the numbers, you can see this is kind of 4 times as much, but you still have to think about it. And some of this can be like overwhelming. We're looking at too many numbers, even for someone like me who has a bunch of math tattoos. This isn't quite as useful. So we'll go to the dashboard and we'll get better insights. So now here we have a modern business dashboard. This allows us to easily gain valuable insights, and we can explore and really engage with your data and see what's going on with your company, track the health, making sure things are going the way you expect. And if there's any problems, you can correct those before things get really bad, and or potentially capitalize if you see some categories doing really well and you're not doing as much marketing there or as many sales teams focus on that area. You can find that out here and potentially increase your profits, or potentially if something's going really bad, you might need to nix a category and you can reduce your costs. So here we also have the categories from the pivot table, and this lets us easily see the difference between the brands. We had the one was 4 times as much. We can kind of see with the numbers, but here it's obviously the Fashions Direct brand in this for the women's category is doing significantly better. It's actually doing better in all the categories. We can see here with groceries, the Next Look brand is doing almost nothing. So that could be something you can consider getting rid of, or maybe you want to improve it. You think there's potential there. And you can see which ones are almost the same, like men's here. The 2 bars are close together, and that's quite different from most of these other categories. This is the one that's almost closest equal, as also has shoes and juniors. And that's one of the benefits having charts like this, because your eyes can efficiently make comparisons. Having the bars close together allows you to compare the sizes differently. Sometimes I've seen charts where the bars are a bit further away, and then it's hard to compare which one's bigger, or how much bigger the ones are. It's like when you're asking someone at a party or your friends who's taller, you typically go have them go back to back, and then you can see directly who's taller. If you had someone like over here and here, it's like it's harder to tell who's taller and by how much. But if you have them right together, that's the best comparison. And here we also have some trend lines. You can see maybe there's some seasonality to the different brands with the spikes and the dips. So this looks like the Fashion Direct has a lot more ups and downs, and your the Next Look brand here, in the blue, it's a bit more consistent. It doesn't have the sales overall as much as the Fashion Direct, but is a bit more consistent, or because the dips goes up and down, but not as drastically. So that could be something like you want to expand or explore, or you want to, if just because the sales are low, some people might think, oh, we get rid of it. But if it's consistent sales, that might be worth keeping for base, especially if the Fashion Directs will dip. You have something to keep the lights on, get some revenue coming in, especially if the Fashion Direct might be unpredictable, or if you can track the trends, then you know what's happening. Also, with this type of dashboard, you can do some filtering if you want to look at. So we want to look at, let's say, the men's, because it was near equal. Now we can see just the men's category, so you can really tell how close the two categories are together. And the map will filter too, so we can see which states are doing the most sales for the men's, and you can, if you want, you can compare the different categories, seeing how they're doing in each state. Typically here Minnesota has the most sales in this data set, and one good thing about a map like this is that the shading, the darker you see here, the darker it is, the higher their sales. So right away, I identified Minnesota has most sales. I'd have to like hover over it. I could just see from here. You can even back up wherever you are. If you're sitting just looking at your desk, you're looking at other things, you can quickly see here. You can see Minnesota is doing the most, and then you have Wisconsin and Illinois doing second, and you can do that for any of the categories. And we can also just then remove the filter, and we can see the overall sales quite easily with the map and the shading. You can also filter by the year. This is the fiscal year, so you do have to be careful looking at it. It's not the calendar year, so when you're filtering, this is the 2021 to 2022 season, so you only have January to June of that season. And then in this data set, like that's where you have to make sure your data is all in, and that's partially what also happens with my clients. I've found once set up dashboards like this, we start adding and modifying it, what you need, what the owners, CEOs, decision makers need, and then down like operations manager or also sales managers, things like that will have their own dashboard possibly, or want certain things added to this type of dashboard. And then you got to make sure your data governance, data quality, data assurance, things like that are up to par, so that you don't cause any issues with your dashboards, because that might cause some problems where you're concerned what's happening, and then it's all it was is that the data wasn't set up properly, wasn't being imported, maybe people aren't collecting it, or data entry also issues, people aren't doing it in a timely manner or correctly. You'll start weeding out a lot of those issues with your company and start strengthening your data, which then helps you better with insights and forecasts and decision making, making sure your company's healthy and growing. And if there's areas that you should be more concerned about, you can track that and find out sooner than later. So it's kind of a feedback loop where you're using your data more, and then so you want to strengthen your data, and then down the pipeline, all your data areas will be improved and healthier, and making sure that the business can keep going as you're expecting. And one other thing that's being emphasized in the data storytelling and business intelligence communities are having consistent colors. So for this dashboard, the Next Look brand is always blue, and the orange is for Fashions Direct. So once you have it established here, the Fashion Group sales dashboard, you see the two colors. Now everywhere you look on the dashboard, when you see those colors, that is associated with that brand. And we have green here for sales. It could be a different color. I chose green. Green's my favorite color. Some people like something quite different, so it stands out, maybe a purple, things like that. But you got to be careful that it doesn't blend with the backgrounds, and making sure that it all pops. And so it's visually stimulating, and you can see what's going on quite easily. And then, like if you're over here, you don't have to remember what these colors are once, because it's consistent. So you're looking through the dashboard, you know what's happening. This will let you engage with your data better. So when you're looking at the raw data or even the pivot table, your eyes don't glaze over, you get bored or uninterested. Even myself, I have a math and stats degree. That can be a lot of just numbers and a lot of looking, and a lot of mental energy expended. Instead of just designing a dashboard like this that lets you track the health of your business and gain actionable insights. Get it from Data Science and Consultants, where we're making complex data simple to use.